He sat there at the riverbank every day, looking at the boatmen finishing their chores. And that evening was different because every sunset is different, isn't it? He, the headmaster of the only school in the village, looked stranger. He thought, hey, you don't seem to be from my village. He walked closer to the stranger, and before the stranger could look or answer, he said, "Ha, you must be a newbie in my town, isn't it? But, why are you sitting in this bank of the river and looking at that eerie mansion? You don't know the story about that mansion, do you?" asked the headmaster. "Do you want to know? Shall I tell you?" And before the stranger could actually answer, he started off. It was all silent. Night sounds, water, and the headmaster's voice. That's all was heard in the surroundings. The headmaster began. That mansion, Monihara, Monimalika, and Bhushan Saha, a newly married couple lived there. Bhushan Saha, a well-to-do businessman, would buy silk saris and gold jewelry for his wife. He loved his wife, and she loved the jewelry. She was a cold person, finishing her chores, would not socialize, would sit every day in front of the mirror, adorning herself with all her jewelries and admiring herself. After a few months, Bhushan Saha came back one day from office and told her, Moni, my business has got a lot of losses. Would you give me your jewelry so that I can raise some funds? Jewelry? My jewelry? You want my jewelry? How can you even ask for them? They are mine. And before she could even continue, the understanding husband just said, Don't worry. And he left to Kolkata that day. But she thought, what if he comes back and asks for my jewelry? The next day morning, she called Mohan, her cousin who was working with them. Mohan, can you take me to my father's house? You know what has happened, right? Mohan said, Yes, I do. And today we have to leave by 8, for it's a new moon day and the right time for us to go. Get all your jewelry, he said. And throughout the day, Moni sat in front of the mirror, adorning herself with jewelry. My bangles, my chains. And she put on layers and layers and earrings. And at 8 o'clock, when Mohan called out, she covered herself with a shawl and walked towards the river where he was waiting. Made her anklets. And both of them got into the boat and went deep into the river. A couple of days later, Bhushan came back, looked, searched. His Moni was not at home. He sent word to her father's house. The answer was negative. He lodged a police complaint. And even after 15 days of search, there was no sign of Moni. He was a broken man. He was alone. After a few days, it was raining incessantly. He went up the spiral staircase in his hallway and went into Moni's room. Saw all the artifacts that she had beautifully decorated. He picked up the lamp which she lit every day, and the glow of it which brightened the room and his life. Moni, my life is as dark as this room without you, Moni. Come back, I love you, come back, he said. He went to the window. The rain had stopped. He peered into the darkness as if he was searching for something and someone. But all he could see was darkness, and his eyes ached. He heard that sound. It was from the river bank. He heard it coming closer to the main door. He came down the spiral staircase, ran towards the main door, and opened the door. There was no one. There was no sound. He was sweating. It was all a dream, and he had walked down to the main door in his sleep. The headmaster and the stranger heard the howling of the dog and looked at it. The headmaster waited for a few seconds. Are you scared? Asked the headmaster. But before the stranger could answer, he continued the story. The second day, he again went up the spiral staircase into the room and waited, closed the door of the room and waited. Waited for that sound. It didn't come. There it was. It came towards the main door, but he did not go down. He waited. It crossed the hallway, came up the spiral staircase, and the sound came closer to the door of the room. He couldn't wait longer. He went and opened the door of the room. There was no one and no sound. And again, it was a dream, and he had gotten up from sleep. The third night, he went up again. And this time, he sat. He sat on the chair, which was Moni's favorite. He placed it right in front of the window, looked into the darkness, and waited. He closed his eyes, for he didn't want to miss the sound or her. For the fear of missing her, he closed the eyes. No sign of the sound. At the riverbank, closer to the main door, up the spiral staircase, at the door of the room. He could feel her in the room now, passing through the artifacts, and though his eyes were closed, he could feel the glow of the lamp. He knew it. There was a smile on his face, but suddenly He could feel her there. He opened his eyes to see two eyes peering into him. He looked up. He looked down. It was just two eyes, and the whole body was just skeleton, adorned with jewelry. The two eyes looked at him and asked him to follow. He got up from the chair, and both of them went down the spiral staircase, through the hallway, out of the main door, towards the riverbank. And as they were closer to the water, the eyes looked at him, and she went into the water. Moni! And as he stepped and touched the water, he again woke up. It was all a dream again. He was sweating and he had walked to the riverbank in the sleep. But this time, he wanted her, and he stretched his hands and went and slipped into the river. The headmaster finished the story, looked at the stranger. He could just see a silhouette now, for it was quite dark, and asked him, "Oh, stranger, did you listen? Do you believe in the story?" For the first time, the stranger replied, "Do you believe in the story? Ha! I have been listening to this for 30 years and I've been repeating it every other day to people. Of course I do." "There is a flaw in this," said the stranger. "Flaw? Were you there for you to tell me what it was? What was the flaw?" The stranger said, "The first night when he came down the spiral staircase, he tripped, he fell, and he limped with crutches for the next 2 days." Ho, ho, ho. You knew it, right? You were there. Ha, right, right. Stranger, stranger, stranger. Crutches?